for me, I consider it a blessing that I always appreciated different forms of currency. Love is a currency. Respect is a currency. Just how we interact with one another, it can be very impactful. I grew up poor and didn't know it. So money was never something I yearned for as the most valuable currency I had to have. What I care most about was relationships. So how I got to elected office, I'll give you my rundown really quickly, and you'll understand how circumstantial it was. In the 4th grade, my teacher tried to teach the recorder. She sucked. I said I can do it better, but I was talking to my homeboy, and she was like, "Leonardo, what did you say?" I'm a geriatric millennial as well. I was the last generation that could get paddled in school for punishment. And because I talked out of line, she popped me. But I had to go home with the recorder, and I came back the next day, and I could actually teach better than she could. So I wanted to be a music teacher. I did it. I went to college, got my music degree from NC Central, got a certification from Duke University, right 5 minutes up the street. Went back, got my head leadership degree, music teacher, 2-time teacher of the year. Loved it, wanted to do more, became an assistant principal for a year, then a principal. Next thing you know, I'm a senior district administrator, still serving in education. I get recruited to work with a healthcare company on creating and writing curriculum. I get a call from the state government, "Hey, we'd love for you to take on this special project." Special. I was responsible for working with Democrats and Republicans at the state legislature around turning on a project that turns around the bottom 5% of schools, elementary schools, performing proficiently, or trying to get them to perform better. That was a very chaotic experience, and that's when I almost lost hope for Democrats and Republicans in our political atmosphere. Next thing you know, right before I left that 1-year assignment, we found that we did something. We didn't achieve the goal we wanted, but the way I was able to work with communities just really opened my eyes, and I realized that it really doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican. What matters is how we interact with one another. However, I was going back and forth in a suit and tie every day, helping my wife deliver meals because she left her job. She was stressed out, restaurant manager. She's an introvert, she's Zimbabwean, and she started catering, and it blew up. So here I am working with the governor, delivering meals, coming to the office in a suit, smelling like chicken. Not a good situation. I left. I left and ended up just being my wife's delivery boy. So I went from the top of the education ladder to being my wife's delivery boy. Suit and tie to jogging pants. And people started laughing and how could you do such a thing? But then I looked at life a little different. I was like, wait a minute, do I work for the title or do I work for my own? And that jogging suit outfit was my own business, And next thing you know, we opened the nation's first Zimbabwean restaurant. And then we opened another, and we used that to feed 50,000 meals to a community that was evacuated. And then I helped shape policy to help small businesses through the pandemic. I raised $3 million to keep, with some friends, to keep every small business in our city from closing. And I was doing this because I felt it was the right thing to do. And two, I went to a city council meeting and I asked for help. And they said, well, you're in business. You chose to go in business on your own. That's your fault. So what is wrong with these people? And I was so struck by that. I looked at that council and I said, I'm coming for you. And I started to run for office, and the person running against me was the leader of the defund the police. And in my city, we're in the South. It's we've had some nationwide we've had complicated relationships with police, but in my city, they were actually really good. And I didn't want to let what happened in Minnesota affect what was going on in Durham. And also, when you take away the police in our city, what was happening was the black community was getting hurt the most. And they were asking for it, but yet there were a lot of activists speaking on behalf of the black community that did not have black or brown skin. And I found that to be problematic. Next thing you know, I win that race, and I felt it was the worst mistake I ever did because the council was chaotic. And I was writing my resignation letter to get off council, and the custodian actually ripped it up and said, you're the only person who's giving us hope. You're not going anywhere. Next thing you know, I'm mayor, and it's been an elevation since.
Hip politics, baby.